And I mean, one of the things I talk about a lot is the difference between complicated systems and complex ones, where complicated ones, it's like a Boeing 747. It's got 4 million parts, but you pretty much know where it's going to go once you launch it into the air.
It's pretty deterministic.
Yeah. Whereas a complex system has all these interconnections, and you don't know where it's going to end up given the starting conditions. And so I think one of the things that human beings are really, really bad at is complex systems with exponential effects. Where the
and the way that Silicon Valley tends to deal with that problem is they basically say, well, we'll deal with the complexity in production, which is say we will produce a minimal version of this product, aware that it's going to do we can foresee 10 things it's going to do. And we can foresee maybe 5 things we don't want happening. We've kind of maybe tried to deal with those, but we know there's going to be a bunch of stuff that we don't know. And we're just going to observe it as it's used, and then we'll deal with it, one by one. And there's 2 problems there. One is that, well, that's fine maybe if it's just like a to-do app, right? And its impact on the civil realm is minimal, right? It's like, okay, we didn't expect people to do this with our to-do app. We're gonna change that. Here's a little example. When Google Sheets, so Google Docs was originally a company called Writely, right?
I didn't know that.
Before it was bought by Google, it was a little company that said, we are going to produce a word processor that is going to live in the cloud so that you don't have to have the documents on your desk. Now, so they produced this, and I talked to the one of the heads years ago, and he said, well, when we originally put it online, we had a list of things we wanted to do. Like, it was really just a simple box. You could type into it and you could save the document. It was very minimal, right? And our to-do list, the things we wanted to put on there, this is what he tells me, was to make it look like Word. Like, we wanted lots of nice fonts. We wanted to be able to format things, have bulleted lists and paragraph indents. We wanted you to be able to generate a document that looked as good. Right now, it was just crap. It was like just plain text practically. They wanted it to look that way. But all the users uniformly said, we don't give a crap about Microsoft Word formatting. We want to be able to collaboratively work on a document with other people. If this thing is online, I want my friends to log into it. I want us all to work on that at the same time. And so the software developers had this vision of what they were building that was utterly different from what people actually wanted to do. And to their credit, they said, all right, so let's just scrap all the. I mean, it took like years for Google Docs to develop anything remotely approaching fonts, but they spent all their energy making it possible to collaborate on a document and to even be in there live at the same time, because that's what people wanted. So you can see immediately how software developers can have a completely different idea of what people are going to want. Like they want what they want, and that's not necessarily what the public's going to want to use. So it's a series of surprises, and unfortunately, they're not. It's a combination of they can be terrible at reacting to the problems that their products cause. They can have their heads in the sand because they don't want to think about it. They can not notice those problems because they don't affect them personally, which is sort of like the problem I talk about in the book with a lot of people. I talked to early people on Twitter, early Twitter developers, and they were like, yeah, here's the thing. It was all a bunch of young white guys, and they don't really get, a lot of coordinated abuse. They might get people saying that what you said is stupid, or, you're dumb and go away. But they don't get the thing where 20 people decide, let's make this person's life miserable for a week, and just dogpiling, let's coordinate abuse. So there's a new piece of abuse happening every 5 minutes. We're going to do this nonstop for a week. That's dogpiling. And that's what happened, let's say, during Gamergate, right? So they were intellectually unequipped to understand that as a problem because it was so outside their experience. Nothing like that had happened to anyone they ever knew. And they didn't bother to do the basic user research to figure out, well, what might go wrong here, right? Which they could have done. If you looked at even Usenet in the 90s, you would have seen that, particularly women voicing opinions, as Penny Red said, an opinion is a short skirt of the internet for women, right?
That's a great phrase.
You could have learned from that in the 90s, but they didn't. They just said, hey, we have this idea, it's gonna be great, and we're gonna go out there and just offer this new tool that is going to be fantastic for for a lot of guys, and fantastic with massive problems for a lot of women.